Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Joining me this afternoon is our City Attorney Mara Elliott, our Council President Pro Tem Joe LaCava, our Councilmembers Stephen Whitburn, Henry Foster, Marnie Von Wilpert, Kent Lee, and Raul Campillo. We're also pleased to be joined today by a trustee from our San Diego Unified School District, Sabrina Bazo, as well as David Vance, the Senior Manager of Advocacy and Civic Engagement for the San Diego LGBT Community Center, and of course, many of our friends from the community, including from Planned Parenthood. Today we're coming together to sign into law critically important amendments to our municipal code surrounding free speech buffer zones. These changes are essential to protecting access and creating safe environments at areas that are increasingly becoming the sites of demonstrations and First Amendment activities, specifically at healthcare clinics, reproductive care clinics, schools, and at places of worship. I want to turn the podium now over to the driving force behind these very important updates and protections, which earned the unanimous support of our City Council. I'm pleased to introduce our San Diego City Attorney, Mara Elliott. Madam City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor Gloria, and thank you to the City Council. It's an exciting day today. Our mayor will be signing into law updates to our city's outdated buffer ordinance. In 1997, the City of San Diego adopted a 100-foot buffer zone around entrances and exits to healthcare facilities, places of worship, and school grounds. Under this law, an individual who wished to exercise their constitutional right to medical care, to educational services, or to practice their religion had the legal burden to tell demonstrators to back off. For many, this kind of engagement was not an option. They'd simply walk away to avoid confrontation, missing a health appointment, a parent-teacher conference, or a church service. The complaints I received ranged from the school board member who couldn't attend a meeting to discuss the education of elementary school students because anti-vaccination protesters blocked the entrance to the boardroom and created other safety risks, to the parent whose access to a community forum on gun violence prevention at her child's school was blocked by individuals asserting their rights to free speech and gun ownership, to worshipers who were afraid to attend services because anti-Semitic protesters were blocking the path to their synagogue, to a patient who wished to obtain a pap smear but left the healthcare facility after she was called a baby killer by an anti-choice protester. The new law shifts the burden to the demonstrator who must seek permission to approach a person who is exercising their right to access. The amendments also impose noise limitations. Bullhorns outside of certain protected facilities were sometimes so loud that employees could not work and neighborhoods were robbed of their quality of life. Remedies for violations of the ordinance now extend to impacted healthcare facilities, schools, and churches, and not just the person who is seeking access. No one should be afraid to see their doctor, to learn, to pray, or to attend a school meeting. These are fundamental parts of our civil society, and this law protects those fundamental rights. Thank you to Senior Chief Deputy City Attorney Heather Ferbert and Deputy City Attorneys Julie Rao and Eric LaGuardia for their important work on this law. And again, thank you to our mayor and to our City Council for amending this law to keep San Diegans safe. And I will now turn it over to San Diego Unified School District Board of Trustee member Sabrina Bazo.
Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. So happy to be with you here to celebrate the passage of this buffer ordinance. And as a parent and a San Diego Unified School Board member, I'd like to thank our City Attorney, Mara Elliott, as well as their Chief of Staff, Andrew Sharp, for helping to get this ordinance passed in order to protect our schools, our healthcare facilities, and our places of worship. As a trustee for San Diego Unified, having safe facilities where our students and parents can feel comfortable and secure is a very high priority, and family involvement is extremely important to all of our students' success. So, as City Attorney Mara Elliott mentioned, I also find it deeply troubling that anyone would block the entrances to our schools and try to intimidate our families for any reason. No one has the right to deny our children access to their education, and no one has the right to prevent parents from supporting their students. And yet, these situations are unfortunately not uncommon, as you've heard, between anti-vaccination protesters and other protesters that we have both at schools and at our school board meetings. With this law in place, we can ensure that this does not happen. Access to education, healthcare, and religious institutions is fundamental to our rights, not only as San Diegos, but also as Americans. This is why I appreciate the City Attorney and her Chief of Staff for bringing this measure forward, and I thank the City Council and the Mayor for supporting the passage of this ordinance to protect our community. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is David Vance. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm the Senior Manager of Advocacy and Civic Engagement at the San Diego LGBT Community Center. The center is one of the oldest and largest LGBT community centers in the nation. We're also the largest health and human services provider for the LGBTQ community in San Diego County, and we're also a leading advocacy organization for the LGBTQ community in San Diego County. No one should be intimidated out of receiving their health care, practicing their faith, or getting an education. The amendments to this ordinance are a crucial step in protecting people's safe and legal access to basic health care, their places of worship, and their schools. As the region's largest health and human services provider for the LGBTQ community, the center is deeply familiar with the ways that anti-LGBTQ hatred, stigma, and demonstrating can impact folks' access to the health care they need. Especially in our current climate, where gender-affirming care for the trans and non-binary community, and particularly for trans and non-binary youth, is being targeted or made illegal in states across the country, it's more important than ever to protect marginalized folks' safe and legal access to gender-affirming care in San Diego. In removing the burden of action from members of the public, these updates to the city's buffer zone will help ensure that transgender and non-binary San Diegans can get the critical services they deserve without fear of intimidation or harassment. We're deeply grateful to City Attorney Elliott, Mayor Todd Gloria, and the City Council for their support of the amendments to this ordinance. Thank you.
David and Sabrina, thank you for those comments. And again, I want to take this opportunity to thank City Attorney Mara. Let me do that one more time. Again, I want to take this opportunity to thank City Attorney Mara Elliott for her leadership in bringing forward these significant changes that protect access to key institutions in our communities. As you've heard, for nearly 3 decades, the city's laws on this issue have remained unchanged. And yet we know that our social and our political landscape has evolved, particularly in recent years. And the need to protect the public from undue harassment and intimidation while still preserving their First Amendment rights has become even more pressing. Now, thanks to our City Attorney and the City Council's partnership, we have struck the appropriate balance, ensuring that people have safe, unfettered access to healthcare providers, schools, and places of worship. The right to free speech is a hallmark of our nation's democracy, and we must always ensure that people have the ability to speak their mind and to be heard. But that right must not infringe on the rights of our residents to access essential health care, participate in their children's education, or to get to school safely, and of course, to practice their faith freely. These are also cornerstones of our democracy. And these updates balance the rights of these individuals to express their views with the rights of others to access essential services safely. They're creating a respectful and safe environment for everyone. In closing, again, I want to thank our City Attorney and her team for their work to bring about these changes. I want to acknowledge our City Council, who showed extraordinary leadership in supporting these changes. And I want to thank you for your dedication to protecting the rights of our residents, ensuring that our laws evolve to address the ever-changing needs of our great city. And finally, a thank you to all the community members that are here today and throughout this process to get us to this signing ceremony. Together, let's make sure that San Diego remains a place where everyone's rights are respected. Now, let's sign this document. Yeah.